Hey everyone! So, if you've ever felt completely paralyzed by the sheer mountain of things you need to do, well, you are in exactly the right place. Welcome to this explainer on transforming all that mental clutter into real, continuous productivity. We're going to dive into a super effective framework called the Architecture of Actionable Momentum. Basically, we'll take the core concepts from our source material and break them down so you can see exactly how to take all that noisy chaos in your head and turn it into a highly functional system. A system that honestly practically forces you to be productive.
Okay, here is our game plan for today. First, we'll look at the stagnation trap. Then, we'll move into capture the mind sweep. After that, we'll clarify and organize, and finally, we'll wrap up with building actionable momentum. Let's get right into it.
Section 1. The stagnation trap. Let's start by validating something we've all dealt with, that overwhelming feeling of mental gridlock. You know the feeling, right? Where you have so much to do that you just end up doing literally nothing. It's frustrating. But our source material actually pinpoints exactly why this happens, and it's the foundation of this whole explainer. Think about your to-do list right now. How many things on there are just broad, ambiguous ideas? Things like plan vacation or fix website. Well, it turns out vague goals are actually the core culprit behind your stagnation. Your brain sees plan vacation and it immediately short-circuits because it sees a dozen hidden subtasks. Flights, hotels, budgeting. Because your brain doesn't know the exact first step to take, it just chooses the path of least resistance, procrastination. It's not that you lack willpower, you just lack clarity.
And this is where the magic shift happens. The whole architecture of actionable momentum hinges on this one idea. Traditional, vague goal setting traps us in stagnation, while defining specific, physical next steps actually propels us forward. You've got to remove the ambiguity. Once you know the exact physical action required, that mental barrier just vanishes, and you can finally get to work.
Moving right along to Section 2, Capture the Mind Sweep.
To actually build a functional system, you have to follow a really strict three-part sequence. You capture everything first, then you clarify what it all means, and only then do you organize it. You really can't jump straight to organizing. It just doesn't work. You have to process the raw inputs in this exact order. Let's take a closer look at step 1.
So, this first phase is all about doing a massive, energetic brain dump. You can't organize mental clutter while it's still bouncing around inside your skull. You have to perform what's called a mind sweep. The goal here is to grab absolutely everything, every task, every random brilliant idea, every email you owe someone, and collect it into one central inbox. Seriously, every unwritten task is a tiny cognitive load that's just draining your battery in the background. So getting it out of your head and into a trusted external spot gives you immense mental relief and frees up your bandwidth so you can actually focus.
Okay, on to Section 3, clarify and organize.
We're going to slow down for a second here, because this part is absolutely crucial. You've done the mind sweep. Awesome. Now we have to make sense of that overflowing inbox. You need to look at every single item and ask yourself one golden filtering question. Is it actionable? Don't skip this. Look at the item and decide, is there a physical action I can take right now, or is this just reference material, or maybe something I want to do later? This single question is literally the gateway to your entire workflow.
If the answer is yes, it's actionable, we immediately hit it with a strict time filter, the 2-minute rule. This is a total game changer. If a task takes less than 2 minutes, the rule is simple. Do it right now. Don't file it away. Don't schedule it for later. Just knock it out. Honestly, the time it takes to organize a 2-minute task is longer than just finishing the whole shebang right then and there.
But what if it takes longer than 2 minutes? Well, here's the trick. You cannot leave it vague. You must define the exact concrete maneuver needed to move it forward. We call this your next physical action. So you can't just write down, look into new software. Nope, that is way too vague. You need to write, call Sarah at 2 p.m. for the software login. See the difference? You are defining the literal, physical step required to push that project one step closer to the finish line.
Once you've clarified what an item is, it gets sorted into one of 3 buckets. Your next actions are your immediate, concrete steps. Then you have projects. This is for anything that takes multiple steps. You keep a list of these just so you don't lose the big picture, but remember, you only ever actually execute the next actions. Keeping those separate stops your daily to-do list from getting bogged down by intimidating projects. And finally, someday/maybe is your holding zone for future possibilities. Stuff you aren't ready to commit to yet, but definitely want off your active mental radar.
And that brings us to our final section, building actionable momentum.
All right, we've talked theory, we've built the external brain. Now it's time for a quick challenge to kick that procrastination habit for good. I want you to grab just 3 vague items from that mind sweep you did, 3 things that have been stressing you out. Now drill down into them. Really break them down until you have one single specific next action for each. Just 3 simple, concrete maneuvers. Anxiety loves to hide in the gap between knowing you have a project and knowing your actual next step. Watch how fast that stress evaporates once you close that gap.
I love this quote. It totally hits the nail on the head and sums up this entire explainer. Breaking complex projects down into simple maneuvers is the ultimate cure for mental clutter. Stagnation isn't some permanent personality flaw. It's really just a symptom of poorly defined work. When you swap out the vague for the concrete, your system just naturally generates momentum.
So to wrap this up, I want to leave you with one final thought. Take a look at your absolute biggest, most intimidating goal right now. Don't worry about the finish line, and actually scratch that. Don't even worry about steps 4, 5, and 6. Just look right in front of the problem and ask yourself, what is the single, concrete, physical step you can take today? Figure that out, execute it, and the momentum will absolutely take care of the rest.